do is get your quarterback blown up and be responsible for that. So they're not getting out as much in the pass game. Ben Tate reopens the running back a bit more in the pass game as well. You're right.
Yeah, and then probably the most important to me with how well Brian Hoyer is playing is having a pass protection, because I think Ben Tate, out of the three, again, knowing the offense, knowing what assignments, being a veteran in the league, he knows, where to block. So pass protection as well for Ben Tate. And you know something, J-Rock? He's averaging over 5 yards a carry in his career. He was averaging almost 7 yards against Pittsburgh until he got hurt. So I'm excited to have Ben Tate back. I think this is going to be a hit him right between the eyes football game for the Browns.
And what the running game does more is people talked ad nauseum the last few seasons about the reason that teams can stack, X amount of guys in the box. The reason that teams can glom on your receivers like that is because you got nobody that can go over the top, nobody that stretches the defense. I disagreed. I mean, obviously, I agreed that we didn't have anybody going over the top until Josh Gordon emerged, but I disagree from the aspect of I see it differently. It's because you don't have a running game. I think that's what has made Brian Hoyer's job as effective this year as it is, because he's a very smart quarterback who's able to process things quickly. If you give him open targets, he's going to hit them 90% of the time. And the running game is the reason that he's had the opportunity to find guys wide open, because this is the first time in years that defenses have respected the Browns' ability to run and just commitment to run. The fact that they don't give up on it, that they keep coming after it. And so for the first time in years, when a Browns quarterback drops back and play action fakes to the run, it actually freezes linebackers. It actually causes a few seconds of pause because they believe you're going to hand the ball off. All of a sudden, now, because, people keep going, man, how is Andrew Hawkins wide open? How is Taylor Gabriel flashing across the middle? That's what happens when teams have to stay home and respect your ability to run the ball more than your ability to go over the top, because eventually they can shut that down. But when they have to respect the run, you're always, if you've got a quarterback who can then do his part of the job, then you can really exploit these defenses even with a less than stellar, and I don't mean this as a disrespect to them, but a less than number one wide receiver core. You just got a bunch of guys that are going to go catch the ball and try to get open, but that running game's going to get them open. That's the key. That's been the whole thing, and that's why Brian Hoyer looks as good as he does, because he's got a run game that teams have to pay attention to. Yeah,
that's a great point too. The Browns are being able to run play action more effectively than last year. You got to remember, last season with three quarterbacks, the Browns threw the ball the most amount of time in the entire NFL. The Browns averaged 2.6 yards per carry during the season. The running game was minute. There was no running game. So to build on what you're saying, add that running game. That's the reason why Brian Hoyer is successful, because we finally have a running game, and you not only have one guy that can do it, you got three, possibly even four if we ever see Winston.
Right, and that's the thing. So just the ability of having that and the commitment to doing it, because that's the other thing too. You can play action all you want. If teams know that when you're down in the second half, you don't run the ball, that doesn't mean anything. But now that they know that, and the Browns have shown that they can be trailing in the fourth quarter, they could be trailing with 5 minutes left in the game, and they will still run the ball. That's different, because that is a true commitment to the run that teams won't do. How many times do guys, it could be 3rd and 1. If you're down with a couple minutes to go in the fourth quarter, you're pass on every play because, God forbid you run the ball and take 30 seconds off the clock. But the Browns will, and part of that comes not just from the commitment, but to having some guys that can hit the home run, and that's part of it too. So that's all part of Brian Hoyer. I understand why Brian Hoyer's been as effective as he is. I don't know that he's as effective a quarterback if you've got no receivers that he can find. I mean, that's part of it. But where you compliment him is that he has the ability to find the guys. You give him the time, and the defense has to respect the run, that he can look around and find the guys, and for the most part, not hurt you. That's the biggest thing, man. So many times people say, well, what quarterback can win games? Most quarterbacks, the best ones, don't lose games. Then, yeah, they can go win them. And I think Hoyer's got a little bit of that too, but he doesn't lose them. And that puts him ahead of 75% of the game right there.
Yeah, that's so true too, J-Rock. Hoyer he's not going to lose a game for you, knock on wood. And you know,
he's not going to give it away. He
smart,
may not
he's smart
win.
He's smart with his decisions, and he doesn't turn the ball over. I think it's 156 straight pass attempts without an interception, which leads the NFL right now. He's as cliche as this is, he's a game manager. You know, I don't look at his 95 point something QB rating. I look at the fact that he makes smart decisions and doesn't turn the ball over, and that's the reason why the Browns have there's a point differential between these last 3 games of only 7 points total, because the Browns are in every game because of Brian Hoyer managing that team, managing that offense.
I got a problem with that term, though.
Too,
game manager. Real quick, let me jump in. Game manager bothers me because, number one, that's not what he is, in my opinion. Brian Hoyer is a quarterback. A game manager, to me, is somebody who hands off the ball, who you trust with little short passes and a very, very, very simple offense, and his job is simply to run the plays and do what they tell you. I mean, I think Brian Hoyer is more than that definition. I believe he's a quarterback. I believe a quarterback's definition should be you don't make mistakes. You always put your team in the right place. That's not like some separate subgroup that goes under game managers. I think that he's just a quarterback, a football quarterback. Game manager, to me, signifies somebody with a lesser skill set, I think, than what Brian Hoyer has. But that's what bothers me. I don't mind the term. There are quarterbacks that are game managers, but I don't think he's that, because he can also make plays himself. He's not just taking what the defense gives him and making 3-yard dump passes and handing the ball off to a running back like Jamal Lewis and just sitting back and letting the defense take him to victories. I mean, and he's shown it in the final 2 minutes. The defenses aren't giving you that final drive of the game. When he needs to make plays, he's making them. Although some people will go, well, he missed the pass to Hawkins. Well, I say the guy should have caught it anyway, but either way, that's not the same. That's not losing games. That's, to me, he's more than just a game manager. He's not obviously a statistics gobbling fantasy football type quarterback. But when people say game manager, I look at that as a derogatory term, and that doesn't fit Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I wasn't using game manager as a derogatory term. I was saying the guy makes smart decisions.
Yep.
And he puts us in a position. He puts the Browns in a position to win football games.
That's it.
You know, one other thing too that we got to mention is Kyle Shanahan's zone running scheme is working to perfection this year. I love my boy Joel Bitonio up front at that left guard spot, and I think the Browns, that's another reason why Hoyer is successful, is because of the actual running scheme that they're using, J-Rock.
I agree. I love that scheme. It's always worked well. I mean, the Shanahans have ran variations of that throughout, whether you're talking about Kyle, whether you're talking about his dad. I mean, think of Denver. They were known for just being able to plug different backs in back there and get them 1,000 yards because it was the blocking scheme that made it happen.
Yeah, very true. A lot of Denver backs during the late '90s and the 2000s.
Yep.
We could plug anybody back there, like you said. You know, it wasn't just for
a lot of guys went elsewhere, and then people were like, "Hey, what happened to the guy that was in Denver?" It's like, because in Denver they have a blocking scheme that was working. That's what happened.
So true. You know, J-Rock, this game is crucial. I think it determines the tone of the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. I mean, can they take the media and the fans' expectations to another level, or is this the old Cleveland Browns that everybody expects them? They expect them to win a game like this, and then they lose it. I mean, it's really, those are the two things. It's can you get to the next level, and beat teams that you're supposed to beat, or is it back to the old way and games that guys? I mean, I've talked to tons of fans this week. Everybody is pumped for this game. If the Browns lose, it's gonna crush them. It's gonna crush the fans, and it's gonna crush the team's momentum and anything that they had building up past this bye week here.
All right, so let's get into it. Coming out of the bye week, going to Tennessee, 3 Dawg Bones to victory. Where are you starting?
All right, J-Rock, let's get these Dawg Bones up here. The article will be going up on Dog Pound Nation later on tonight. I'll tell you what. I've heard all the numbers this week. The Browns are 3-22 on the road since 2011. That's horrendous. These Titans are 1-3. You talked about it with Jeff Gorman. They've lost by a total of 66 points in the last 3 games. I mean,
yep.
Is that the Titans or is that the Browns? Because that's what we're used to. Dog bone number one. Dog bone number one. If you want to be a good AFC team, then you beat teams like the Titans, period. I mean, this is where I'm going to go to my favorite line from the 2000 film Boiler Room, J-Rock. Act as if. Dog bone number one is act as if against this team. They can do this by grabbing an early lead and controlling the game. This contest, like you mentioned, should not come down to a Billy Cundiff game-winning field goal attempt or, God forbid, a Ryan Suckup game-winning field goal attempt. Playing from behind and not making a statement early in this game is cause for trouble for the Browns on the road. I think it goes without saying, we all believe that the Browns are better than their 1-2 record. And like I mentioned, only 7 points separates the last 3 games that we've played. Acting as if is by finishing off the Titans and staying true to who they are. Like we talked about, running the football, staying true to who they are as a team. They act as if by not playing down to their competition like they've done so many times in the past. You beat teams like the Titans. You kick them when they're down. The Titans, on the other end of the spectrum, they believe that this is a winnable game. You got to believe right now, all day through Titans media, I guarantee they're saying, the Browns are so winnable. They're saying the same exact thing. Cleveland's got to prove that mindset wrong, and they got to do it real early because you're no matter what, it's hard enough to win in the NFL on the road, like Patton said during the week. And this could get ugly if this could get scary if this game stays close because then the momentum turns. They have the home crowd. I don't want to see it. So dog bone number one is just act as if. Act as if you're better than this team and just you've had 2 weeks to prepare for them. There's no excuses for any blunders. There's no excuses for calling timeouts with 12 men on the field. There's none of that. You act as if by beating the Titans on the road is dog bone number one.
And that's it. I mean, as I was saying right before you in the previous segment with Jeff, I mean, you got a team that's been outscored 27-0 in the first quarter. You've got a fan base that's already been unhappy with what they've seen. Now, this fan base has only seen one home game where they got blown out by Dallas. They went back on the road and got blown out back-to-back games. So now you're coming back home. Hostile fan base. You heard Pollard earlier this week saying, hey, I don't blame him for not wanting to get behind this team. And we have had that here in Cleveland. Even though we talk about what a great fan base the fans are here in Cleveland, we've had those seasons where the team comes and, yeah, they can be as fired up as you want at kickoff, but it's phony. Yeah, they're fired up, but they're waiting. They know that something stupid's about to happen, and as soon as it does, and next thing you know, you're down, 10, 13, nothing, end of the first quarter or headed into halftime, they turn on the home team. It happens a lot, and that is primed to happen there. You've got a fan base that's restless and a team that's gotten slow starts in these games. The Browns have to go down there and instantly try to make something happen. The quicker you do that, the quicker you turn the momentum, and like we said earlier, you have that team on the sideline going, here we go again, and that's it. Once you get a team there, you've taken their heart, and it's over, and that's how you win a ball game like that. That ball game can be won in the first half if the Browns go out there and really just say we're not going to sit out here and be content to go back and forth. We're coming out aggressive. We're attacking early on. We want to win this game easily and convince not just ourselves, but everybody out there that doubts us that this is a new day for the